Hi everybody, Roxanne Steed here, and I've got some good stuff to share with you today. So in my Tuesday class, we just started a new series called Armchair to Italy, and it's a sketchbook journey from home. And, in the middle of this pandemic, we have, we're 10 weeks in, 12 weeks in, several months now. It has become quite the thing. We're getting, I don't know, you could say we're getting used to this new normal. We're here in Connecticut, and the curve is going down. I know in some places these cases are going up. But in this class that I'm teaching, I'm finding that it's a real respite for everybody in the class. And we have, 2.5 hours plus to really get into our painting. And so anyway, I've been talking about as if we were actually taking, we're prepping our sketchbooks to go on an actual journey, in this case, over to Italy. Last summer, I actually had 2 live workshops in France back to back, and it was probably the most wonderful month of my life. And my workshop host is fabulous. It's great to work with her. Anyway, I'm going to show you how you can pack all your gear in one little bag. And I have found over many, many years of dragging different sizes of paint kits around. As an oil painter for 25 years, I've carried large easels, pochade boxes, all different kinds of gear. Then I started with watercolor sketchbooks in Plein to kind of lighten my load and give myself a little variety, and that was very fun. And that's what has brought on this teaching here. So over the last several years. So anyway, let me toggle my camera down, and we're going to talk about what is in my bag and how to keep it light and simple so you don't have a shoulder injury. You can have more fun. That's what it's all about, having fun while you're painting. So, okay, so here's my little bag. It's a Bagalini, got it at TJ Maxx, and it's got some wonderful pockets, 2 in the front, a little zipper pouch here, a big pocket in the back, which I slide this size of a sketchbook. It's probably about 5.5 or 6 inches by 8 inches. Slides in there with a couple of paper towels. There's some pockets here. There's another little pocket, which I stuck my passport in when I was traveling. I have room for a cell phone, which these new phones are kind of heavy. They weigh a ton. I also had room for my wallet in here. I've got a small wallet. I carry a kneaded eraser. I have a Ziploc bag with some more paper towels. I have a small paint kit. I have 2 little water containers. I'm going to pop out and show you in a minute. Okay, that's pretty much that for that little section. I'm just going to pull everything out so we can see. Okay, nowadays I have a mask in there. I used that the other day. Let's see, I have a handful of little travel brushes of various sizes. These, the handles kind of screw, or the brush screws into the handle so you don't mess things up. I've got a couple of fountain pens that I love, a mechanical pencil. I have some business cards. I have a little mister, a little squirt bottle. And I have these bulldog clips. So let me pull out just a sample sketchbook. This is actually one of them that I took to France last summer. So if I were working, I would get my, what I needed out of my little tote bag there, and kind of set up what was comfortable in my lap, whether I'm on a park bench or a, no matter where I am. If I don't have access to water, I bring 2 of these little containers. I found these at Target, and they are called, and they were in the, where you find travel sizes and, packing. I think they're made actually for packing cosmetics or lotion or something. And on the bottom, they say TSA Compliant Cosmetic Jar. And they're just a tiny little bottle, and I put water in there. They're made so that they don't leak all over the place. I used to kind of cheap out and think, oh, I can just reuse an Old Spice jar or something. And I had one leak and just practically ruined one of my sketchbooks because it just leaked over everything and got my whole sketchbook wet, got everything wet because the spice jar did not have a seal that would keep the water in. So what I do when I'm, set up at say in this case, I was at a little cafe. This restaurant had an outdoor area under, some nice awning. So I had view of this whole little town square in this charming place, and I could sit there at the table. When the waitress came to see if I wanted anything, I ordered a ginger ale, and I think I actually asked for some extra water. That way I could have, I always carry this little expandable water pot in my pouch because it doesn't take up much room. And that way, if I'm at a cafe or a place where I can get some, near a water hose, anything, I can get some water right away and have a larger cup to, provide what I need. The brushes that I carry, I think the largest one, I think this is a size 10. The label has worn off. This is a Da Vinci Cosmo top, and it's a synthetic bristle, and it's really nice. It has a decent sized belly that holds a lot of liquid, and it maintains a really nice point for a fine line if I need. So, I get a lot of use out of this. I also have some other various sizes of travel brushes, same kind of thing. I've got a rosemary, and I've got one of those silver brush, black bristle. They're kind of soft for my taste, but they, if you want something that's a little bit softer, there's that. Anyway, and a good pencil, mechanical pencil, and I always carry a kneaded eraser. I also really love fountain pens. I have this Lamy Safari pen that I have filled with DeAtramentis Document ink, which is permanent so that I can write in my book. And in fact, I have one that I have with black ink, and then I have another one that I filled with brown ink. You can see on this page, I use the brown ink for this building. I love the look of ink and watercolor wash in my sketchbook pages. I think it's just a fun way to travel. It's a fun way to record your notes. And I love the way this pen writes. So it's got some water. This is a really rough watercolor paper, but I really just enjoy using this pen. Let's see. So my paints, I like this small box. It's got the lid opens up on either side. And, if you're doing something really large, it doesn't give you a whole lot of mixing space, but I find this gives me enough. And it still is fairly lightweight compared to some other paint boxes. The other thing that I like about this, it's got a little ring that you can put your finger in, and that helps you hold it. If I'm at a cafe table, of course, I can just set this on the table. But if I'm sitting out in like maybe a little camp chair or even a park bench, I will put my sketchbook on my lap with kind of one knee crossed over the other. So I have a little bit of angle to my book. And then I will have this in one hand and my paintbrush in the other hand. And so I've got my water open, and I can, dip in here. I've got this little mister. It's kind of tiny, but if you're just going out for one little sketchathon, you can, this gives you enough to mist up your paints, and doesn't take up much room. It's very lightweight. If I'm going further afield, so say if I'm on one of my paint and travel tours and we're going to leave our home base for the day, and say we're going to a town that's farther away, I will bring a water bottle with me in the van, and maybe even a slightly larger tote bag. But you know, I have found that, you know, the more you carry, the less you're likely to paint. It's like one of my friends said, who has kayaks, and she said, the smaller the boat, the more you spend time on the water. And I thought that was pretty wise saying. So, you know, you don't have to have a large kit and a lot of gear to have a successful time painting out. Oh, also the bulldog clips. I have 2 of these, and if it's windy, I will clip down the edges of my pages to keep them from flapping about. And that's whether I'm sitting or, you know, at a cafe table or on a little camp stool or any of those kind of things. If I'm going on a larger, you know, painting out here locally, or even, you know, traveling, and I'm doing larger paintings, I do have a easel that I stand at. That's a very lightweight, compact easel for watercolor. And I'll be talking about that, giving a little demo in a different video session. But this is pretty much some really nice basics that you can use to keep your gear really lightweight. Also with sketchbooks, I want to point out some sketchbooks that different ones that I use carry along that will fit in this bag. Let's see. This particular model that I have is actually a Pentallic Aqua Journal. They're really nice. I don't think this is all cotton, but it is a nice, it's got a nice tooth, a nice surface to it. It behaves pretty well. And what I did was I got a large sheet of art paper at Jerry's Artorama, and you can glue a cover on your book. You can see where as I took it over the edge, I took the first page in the book and glued it down so it had you know, it covers it really nicely. In the back of this book, they have, you know, it comes with a little pocket that's built in. So I did kind of have to work my edges over there. And then I seal it up with Mod Podge. So Mod Podge, M-O-D-P-O-D-G-E, is the product I use to apply this. I just, you know, brush it on with one of those sponge brushes, and then lay this paper on. And when you're planning this, you need to plan a long enough strip so that when you fold it, it has enough room so it doesn't, you know, so your bound edge doesn't rip. But anyway, it makes a beautiful cover. And then I seal it off with a couple of, like 2 or 3 coats of Mod Podge, and that really protects your book. So this has been shoved in and out of this bag. It's been passed around classes to look at and share, and that Mod Podge really protects the surface of it. So you don't have to just have a plain, you know, a plain blue cover on your book. You can really jazz it up. Another one of my favorite sketchbooks is, it's made by Stillman and Birn. I don't know if you can see that label on there. Oops, let me get that under the camera. And again, it is not, it's not cotton, but it's got a really nice surface. And, you know, it lays flat when you open it up, and it's another one that's fun to work with. And being that it's a soft cover, it's really lightweight. So it's a very nice one for travel. You know, the heavier the cover, of course, it adds to your weight. And, you know, it doesn't sound like it's a very big deal, but if you've got that thing hanging on your shoulder with a little bit of water, and you're, you know, touring around and you're trying, you know, to see all kinds of touristy things, that weight really gets to you after a while. So another one is the famous old Moleskine. Let's see if it's got that on the label. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. Moleskine. And it's another one. It's not cotton paper, but it's okay. It's fairly decent. It's a little bit thinner. It's not as heavyweight as some of the other book pages. And it's got a little pocket in the back for all your tidbits and souvenirs. So it's a nice one for travel. One of my current favorites is made by Etchr. They have this little logo on there. It's a little llama. I don't know if you can see that in, yeah, there you go. You can see that in the camera. And it is cotton paper, and it's a delight to use. It's I think probably one of my favorites. So anyway, so there's a lot of products out there. You know, you can paint this surface, you can leave it white, which of course is going to get a little bit dirty, but it just looks, you know, it looks like a nice canvas finish that it is. They also have a pocket in the back. Oh, the other thing that I bring is a piece of scrap paper so that when I am sketching, say if I'm working on a painting, I will leave this hanging out. And when I'm mixing color in my paint box, I always test my color first. So you can see one of my little test swatches. I always test my color before I put it on my page. There's nothing like putting it down and then realizing, oh man, that is either too warm, too cool, too blue, too whatever. So I always carry a spare sketch swatch. It's just a spare piece of paper. You can see where this was hanging out of the edge of the book, and I have just tested color all over it. So tuck one of those in your book. It can be just a scrap from something else that you've haven't used all the way. And anyway, so there you have it. I hope you will venture out into your yard and some local parks, and eventually we'll all be able to travel again, and I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. So we'll see you in the great outdoors somewhere. Thanks. Have a great time painting, everybody. Oh, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and subscribe to this channel. And we shall see ya. Bye.